family is to secure society. And I'll talk about this in just a minute. God created a family to preserve and protect the future. Now, I want to really graphically put that out there in just a few minutes. But we talked about this man that God formed first, a male man. And that this male man, God said, this man, God spoke to him, and this male man had purposes. In other words, he was born with certain DNA, certain attributes. And he was born and had an attribute of a teacher, because he now would teach his family. That also he was a cultivator. He was supposed to make everything around him better. This man also took on the responsibility as a provider, that he loves to provide. As a matter of fact, sometimes you might say, a husband, a wife might say, why are you working so long? I mean, he said, well, wait a minute, I just got to finish this last project. He likes to work. God put it in him because he put in him a desire to provide. Now, I know you got men sleeping up, in bed and won't go to work and so forth. And on the other side, you got hoochie mamas. You just got a lot of people. You just got a lot of people that are outside. Let's not count them. Let's stay within the norm, the bell curve right here. Okay. So, also, the man is a protector. That's why it's named husband. That he is the one that God created to protect. Now this he has inside of him. It's part of his makeup, part of his purpose in life. And when a purpose is being fulfilled by anybody, they feel good about themselves. So when a man doesn't have work, he doesn't feel good about himself. I mean, I'm not saying his self-esteem is damaged, but I'm saying that he's created to work as part of his purpose in this life. Now, so if these things have not been taught or learned or whatever have you, then this thing gets out of balance. And now the man is not knowing that he's supposed to be the leader of the family and supposed to be the one who is to be the first to be responsible for the family. So we talked about the family name, and that God gives a name. And in that name, it means that, and in this case, Adam named Eve. And when he named Eve in the Hebrew, it infers the fact that whatever you name, you're responsible for. And so you get a little dog, you name the dog. You get a child, you name the child. And we showed you where God named Jesus, because he was a son of God. And God named his own son. And in that, in giving that name, Jesus, now we talked about, well, let's go over there. Let's go over to 1 Corinthians chapter 11, please, just very quickly. I know some of this review, but I want to make sure it really gets inside of you, because if this family thing is distorted, and if the knowledge is not there, then the enemy can come in and pervert things. So we said in verse 1, it says in 1 Corinthians 11, "Be ye followers of me as I also am of Christ. Now I praise you, brethren, that you remember me in all things, and keep the ordinances as I have delivered them to you," the order. "But I would have you know that the head of every man is Christ." I don't care who he is. "And the head of the woman is the man. And the head of Christ is God." So this man is responsible for this family, but he doesn't have to sit up all night long and worry about this family and the predicament or problems that we're having. But he can go to his head. He can go to Christ. And that Christ is responsible for him and ultimately the family. And so this man is called or is chosen by God as the leader of the family. Now this is not something that the family, the wife and the kids raise a hand to and voted on it. This is something that man selected himself. Now, but he's got to set a reputation. He's got to set an example for the family. And it says, husbands, love your wives. That's unconditional love. Now that's just like Christ loving the church and gave himself for it. So it's sacrificial love. So I had to learn that if you're really going to get the benefit of this book, you're going to have to do this book. You just can't sit up and preach it. You're going to have to live it. Say amen to that. So the sanctity of the family, or the concept of the family, is a key to human survival. Because when you're talking about the government is composed of people. And if something's wrong with that, you have to go back to the family. And now society is attempting to be restructured, or what is good or bad or whatever, attempting to be restructured, because people have not been taught what's right from God's perspective.